How are we, people? Turn that down a wee bit. Magnet shoes attracted. So, I thought I better come on and sweat a wee bit. Say hello, in case it's the last time I'm on YouTube's. Because apparently it's all over. Everybody keeps telling me. And when I get up tomorrow morning, my channel's going to be gone. Something like that. So I thought I would just come on anyway, just in case. Because you never know. How he's doing, Martin Allen? Dan DeQuette, Stu G, Flat Earth, Celian, Sea Line. I'm confusing me. Fearless, V Thomas, Selinelli, and there you're there. Anders Ace, Pandemonium, Flat Accord Music, Nicholas, Au Natural, Natalie, V Thomas, David Prince, Neo Human. Aye, it was freezing earlier. I'm now sweating. Total opposite now. Steve HV, how you doing, bud? Stephen Parker, Simeon, Mladenov. I am because we are one love, Fox Wilson. Phil McCavity, Neil McRobb, Colin Pritchard, Hidden in Plain Sight. Anders Ace, Levi Foster, V Thomas, Spelled Fry, Stan Smith, Ringer. Oh. Mark Murray, Real World, Brandon Cook, Gavin Fly, Jay Johnson, how he's doing? Stuart McKenzie, Stuart Lundy, how you doing? TP in a Tree Level Earth Observer, how you doing, mate? 1250 TV. So what do you all think? Do you think it's the last? I told you I wasn't going to be on Saturday. Took a couple of weeks away from it. It's just not happening. Well, apparently it is going to be the last, Mark Travers, because badgings like me are no desirable by YouTube's. So we never know. I never really come on me much other than to say bye, if it is indeed farewell. Nah, I don't think so either. Well, that's the thing. Is it going to be GMT time? So when it gets to midnight, that's the 10th, or are they going by, you know, American time? So it might be tomorrow afternoon. Mark Travers, East Coast of Scotland, nice one. Hi Maggie M, how you doing? Go to D Live. But these channels that are disappearing, are they willfully doing that? Because I see a lot of them setting up other platforms and maybe just shifting onto them. And that as well, they can use it to take away whoever they like. Well, this is the other thing, people are going to start, you know, you need to be careful. You're going to think, oh, because that channel went and that channel never, that channel was telling the truth and this one's not telling the truth. And, you know, people always jump to these things and start making assumptions on what they think's going on, but I think it's bullshit. I think it's bullshit, to be honest with you, Martin. Self-regulating. Maybe just change to be, you know, that you have to have some sort of age restriction or something, especially when it comes to me and my fucking blinding. Yeah. I'm going up a wee bit. Aye. So we have an old intro for old time's sake, in case it's the last. What's the point then? Because nobody's going to see it. You still believing in a globe? Are you retarded? I'm not going to censor myself. It's up to them if they want to censor me. That's what I think, Boris Chops. It's a thing. So I say, I never had anything planned. I just thought I would come on and ramble a wee bit. See what people were saying to it. Windy water, that's that, Fraser. Have you found any yet? Has anybody found any? Raindrops is round, therefore oceans are round. Smashing logic and reasoning. Okay, I'll miss all that, to be honest with you. 5 years of constant ashy circles and ashes raindrops in my TV, therefore I believes the earth's an absurdity. I could be, Thomas. Are you going to get me a boat? How you doing, Andrew? There's been so many good points, good people that have appeared on the platform through the years. They've had the ships over the horizon push this week, you know. It's shocking that they're still regurgitating that bullshit. No, I've not changed the setting. Neo Human Eye, Eve. Oops, sorry, it's just jumped there if I missed any there. People still going at me about this God thing, and I'm sick of saying it to people. You know, look, you can realise that you're part of some sort of design and some intended realm, reality, whatever you like. But you know, it really bothers me when human beings feel the need to assert what they think that is. You know, it's like they're insecure and they need to attack me because I'm not going to subscribe to what their version of a god is, particularly when their versions of God or gods makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. But these same people are never open to having a discussion about it. You know, they get anxious and scared and feel the need to control people like me, but yet they would never sit and have a reasonable discussion with you about it, about the contradictions and the things that just don't make any rational sense in their belief structure. So as I've said before, and I've said from the off here, what I see with human beings is that the talking from myself, you know, and then maybe projecting that out to everybody else. Having beliefs and having an attitude of thinking you know things is going to get you in trouble. If you want to know and you want to understand something, you have to clear your mind, you have to shut your ego up, and you have to be humble and start from the beginning and make sure you understand what it is you're partaking in. So everybody knows, hopefully if this channel stays up, I'm going to start a wee process of mind mapping and using different scenarios in everyday life so that we can start applying a process of the mind and start with the two filters of subjective and objective, because people still mix the two things up. They don't realise that their subjective interpretations, insecurities, you know, yada yada, preconceived ideas are ruling them. They're acting out of emotional impulse based on a structure of belief that they've partook in. And some people are so blind to it they can't recognise it. It's become so rigid in their thinking that they have deluded themselves into thinking it's some sort of objective truth. So I think it'd be good. I would like to start that process so that we can identify it. No on a huge macro level. If people can start to identify the workings of the mind and how to filter, information from a point of view of everyday, examples, then it might help people a wee bit to recognise things in themselves. I forget where I was going with that, but I'm sure it'll come back to me. Of course, Martin Allen, when we're talking about the globular earth, not just the globular earth, other aspects of mainstream science, people are still struggling to distinguish, as I always put it in simple terms, practicality, practical examples, demonstrations of physicality is what's required for me as a human being in order to accept something in my objective reality as being real world fact. But people still don't get it. They hear words and phrases, science says this. Aye, very good. Mathematics can say any old fucking crap it likes. That doesn't mean that it's a natural phenomena, a real world fact. And some of the real world natural phenomena are only visible representations that are being interpreted to fit a particular bias or a model that is already existing. So they can fudge things in order to fit it, and that's what mathematics is useful for. It's a language, and everybody should know that by now. When I'm dealing with the world, I'm looking at arithmetic. Arithmetic's something totally different from mathematics. Arithmetic means one magnet. One magnet and another magnet means two stuffs. 1, 2, 1, 2. Attracted. It's being attracted. There's magic going on in there, and it's willing it towards it. Just like gravity. It can will stuff towards it without a surface touching another surface or a flow of some kind happening. It's all magic in the world of mathematicians. Again, I forget where I was going. This is the problem when I don't come on with a particular line of thought. Mathematics is all very well and good, Ron Mercer, when it has provable integers. That means anything you're using in your linguistics must be ascribed to some tangible phenomena that we can, quantify in 3 dimensions. So aye, it's great for that. That's it, Brian Oskin. It's not just about the gadgets. Again, everything I've ever spoke about since I came on here, who people think they are, the culture that they were born into, the practices, the habits, the ideas and the concepts that they've formed and adopted and identified as being valuable or something that they want to partake in. These things are all very well and good. And again, people need to understand that a lot of that's a subjective preference. But without the objective knowing of where you are, the place that you are in, what it was formulated for, your place within it, then anything that you're partaking in is only delusional. It's not just the technology. Well, thank you very much. Nobody had to ask for that.
On the ball.
That's what happens when you bring out the big belt. Yeah. So that old saying, never lift your hands to a woman, that's what God gave you feet for. It works. Look at that. T came without even a fucking batter on an eyelid. Get them in fear. They behave better when they're in fear. It's no fucking about. Or that trying to reason with them. Fuck that. Swift kick to the chops. Don't you do that again. Start bringing my tea out pronto. I don't even have to ask. A fucking band of social justice warriors along any minute. taking everything you say literally. Ooh, you should be stopped and controlled. When are human beings going to get that into their fucking thick skulls? That's why it's so important for people to identify a mind mapping of identifying subjective and objective. Because if we're going to live together, what people really need to learn is see your subjectivity. Keep it to your fucking self. Partake in your subjective preferences with others who want to partake in it, willfully. See if anybody's subjectivity is creeping in and trying to dominate and dictate to the rest of us. We've got a real fucking issue. All this stuff's very, very simple. Yet human beings make it so fucking complicated and hard. Aye, that's as I'm saying, sham anarchist. That's what size 12's dated, you know, a wee swift boot to the chops, big size 12. The tea will soon flow. No, I'm not quitting, Neil. I'm just on here just in case. No swearing in case I hurt anybody's feelsies. There's been so much of that through the years as well. You know, this is the thing. People take everything and misinterpret, you know, who you are and what you say. And it's so difficult. How could you get to know somebody through a screen? What you have to start as a default position and think to yourself, you know, anybody you're seeing on a screen, don't take them literally. Take your time. Look at the content and the walk of somebody so that you know the product they're offering you or whatever it is they may be offering you. As soon as you put your attention onto the subjective aspect, then you've got an issue. Why are you doing that? Why is that relevant and important to you? You always say that to the religious people. Is there no a phrase or a quote for one of these books, the Bible? Judge not lest ye be judged and all that stuff. Well, I can see nuggets of wisdom in these things. Because that's where, you know, things start to fall apart. As soon as you've got one human being judging another at a subjective level based on subjectivity, then that's a recipe for disaster. There is no ultimate answer to subjective behaviour. So why are we trying to moderate subjectivity? That's why things like the Golden Rule, common law, are so simplistic, yet, you know, they are so simple to understand, and if applied properly, there would be no issue at all. But if you don't, and you don't identify these things, you end up with systems like the one we're living in right now, where subjectivity, emotional impulse is fucking ruling the show, and pulling people from pillar to post, excuse the pun. No such thing as pull. It's just a descriptor of bringing something closer together. In case anybody goes and makes a wee video. You know, I never look at somebody and judge them on how they look or what they think about or any of that stuff. Who are they? What do they provide? What's their content? That's the only interest I have. Even as a child in music, you know, you listen to bands, you focused in on the music, it was the content that appealed to you. And then as you get older, you start hearing people talking about, oh, such and such the singer, he's a fucking this, that and the other, and the drummer, he's into this and he's into that. Well, I don't know if I like them anymore because I don't agree with him being a Christian or him being a Satanist or him being a Catholic or him being a Muslim. So you start disliking people because of their subjective behaviour. See, unless it's affecting you directly, i.e. it's an imposition of your free will, what the fuck are you getting rattled about? So you see these things being done deliberately, they constantly saturate the mainstream, you know, all this LBGT, gays and fucking transsexuals and fucking rights for this and rights for that and yada yada yada, whatever. Like, I'm sick of saying it. It doesn't matter to me if you've got 3 cocks, 4 arseholes and a pair of tits and you want to play with them all and shag yourself. I don't care. I could not give a fuck. See, as soon as you try to bring that into the objective world and try and impose it on me as some sort of right, or I should respect it, or this, that and the other, then we're going to have problems. How bad's it going to get? Huh? Are you offended by somebody picking their arse in the street and having a sniff at it? Because we should have rights for people like that. I demand the right to pick my arse in the street and sniff it without being judged or chastised. You don't need legislations for all these things. What we need to look at is the psychology of the human beings who are, discriminating against. That's where the problem lies. In the objective arena, if we're going to have a system and a structure, it should be based on objective necessity. As a species, what's the requirements we need? How can we make life better for each other? How can we alleviate the stress? How can we liberate the peoples? Because there's a process for that. It does exist, if people only wanted it. But I think, the majority of people say they want that, but really, they don't. Because they've been so affected and shoved into an insecure corner that they now want a slice of the pie. They want to exert their dominance over the whole now and have a bit of authority, a bit of stature, so that they can feel relevant and important and complete. Is it any wonder, that we're going to breed insecurity en masse when we don't even know where the fuck we are, and people are just blindly, following suit. Oh, I was born into this family. I am Jimmy McGlumfer. I am Scottish and proud. This is the practices that we partake in. I identify with that, and this is me and they. Right, Jimmy, you don't even know who you are, son. What are you talking about? What do you mean? I don't know where I'm in Scotland. I'm a McGlumfer. I have family history. That means something. No, it doesn't. It means diddly squat. You have patriotism and pride and a delusion. So you better snap out of it. Dragons. Eric Device says dragons and giants once existed. Thoughts? Well, people can think about whatever they like, right? I've always asked the question, is it relevant to me? Dragons and giants might have existed. Intriguing thought. And I would have to understand the relevance to my current situation. What use is it to me? There's so many things you could point at to see that the official narratives that are being spun are inconsistent, contradictory, which is fine. You can see that in so many other topics. But again, what you always have to refine is what's in your direct experience, because you're a processing unit. The brain is a processing unit. So you need to be filing the information and the stimulus. If you're not paying attention to it and you're not filing it properly, then you're going to have issues. What's the relevance to things? Why am I placing my attention on things? Can I get resolve? Can I get an objective understanding on anything that I'm putting my attention to? The majority of the time, these things, you'll never get an objective clarity or closure. I know it all sounds windswept and interesting, but you will never part of it. It reminds you of Rob C. Nesbitt. I take that as a compliment. Rob C. Nesbitt was fucking brilliant. Rob C. Nesbitt, imparted some fucking wise words over the years. Again, don't be judging the man because he was an alcoholic. and cut about like a tramp. The man had wisdom. So if that was a sleight of hand insult, I'm afraid it never worked. Can I backfire on you? I take it as a compliment. Another square pie? No. I'm going to miss all these intellectual questions and discussions that we have. Do you want to join me? In case it's the last, does anybody want to join me? What else can we talk about? Give me something to talk about. Ask questions. Something interesting. Demeter Bibatov, there is no salvation for us regardless of the way we live our lives. Because for me, this is only an experience. There's nothing going to transcend the experience. And again, for me, I identify that as another problem that human beings are suffering from. They're desperately clutching at certainty. And in the confusion and the bewilderment, they are adopting all these idiotic notions. You get people, religious people, who are believing in omnipotent, omniscient, eternal, infinite beings, but then somehow think that the way they live their life is going to play a role in that, like they can change or alter it or add something to it in some way, which is totally bizarre. You know, I don't know why they can't see that it's about breeding subservience. It's about controlling you, making you think you're no responsible. And regardless of what you do, you're either at the whim of chance happenings, or you're at the whim of some mystical, invisible entity that wants you to moderate your behaviour in all sorts of obscure, bizarre ways. Para about what? What am I being para about? Please elaborate. Like ice melting and freezing, I think it happens all the time. Looking at guitar pedals, Andrew. Depends what you're looking for, mate. I'll get a wee chat with you about it. Well, V. Thomas, we should care about our environment. You know, in that kind of statement, there's an underlying assumption that we should place value upon it, that we should value it in some way. And I'm always asking the question, why do people automatically jump to that assumption just because you're here? Because, as I say, when I look about, I don't really place value on this at all. I place value upon the sentience that I have shared moments with, that I have a connection with. But the reality as a whole, I think it's a fucking abomination. And I don't get why people keep subscribing to these mantras. We need to save the species. We need to survive. We need to keep going. Yeah. What for? Who said? What's at the end of that? Who is benefiting out of our survival? Unless, of course, we turn it into a magical fucking playground where there's no stress and it's just fun. Total liberation, freedom, and no dipshits running about the place. Then maybe. But right now, I've got serious issues with the place. And not only the human participation, when I look at it as a whole, what we call nature. It's a natural world, Mother Earth and all that. Where is your bar? Where did you get that? How are you judging that it's nature? So I asked the question, survive for what? I'm very suspicious of these mantras. Not that I'm encouraging people to top themselves or anything, But when people make these statements, it bothers me a great deal. And I think there's an aspect of the human, that wants to keep going in the hope that they're going to discover that paradise, that fun place, liberation, freedom of expression, creativity. It was for me, that was always the hope. Now I'm kind of like, whatever. Can't see it happening. So, does anybody else feel the same? Do we need to look after the place? Look after it. You don't know what it is. For all you know, it's a prison. And what you're saying is, oh, I need to value the prison and look after it and all that. Fuck that. Trash the gaff. Burn the fucker down. Break down the walls. Let us out. That's the attitude I would be having. Oh, we've got a genius. Hello, flatties. Explain Sunchech. Go. You explain to us how anything in the sky has got any relevance in regards to establishing the dimensions of the earth beneath your feet, other than making assumptions about what it is you think you're seeing with your spherical eyeballs. Go. To say I'm going to miss that shite. Nah, the Buddhists are just as fucking deluded as everybody else. Totally fucking deluded. All this talk of reincarnation and fucking karmas and all that bollocks. It's just a system of trying to reason and rationalise the absurdity that we call life. Right? So they'll come up with any old fucking jargon that sounds kind of passable in order to appease their own fucking uncomfortableness. And the reality is all religions, all ideologies should just say, by the way, nannies have got a fucking clue. All this stuff we're spouting is just serious desperation, brought on by bewildering insecurity. But they'll never tell you that. They should have that right at the top of any of their fucking books or anything, just to make it crystal clear for people, but they don't. They all act as if they've got the fucking measure of it. If it's not the religious fucking nut jobs, it's the other ones. I'm at one with the universe and Mother Earth and all that. No cunt fucking knows what it is, but everybody's sussed it out in it one way. Not one motherfucker could even produce a seed for me. Never mind the fucking universe and a god and all its intentions and all that. What kind of God and creators are you wanting to go on board with if they're no, trying to attain equality? Freedom. Socks of Truth, you've been asked. You've made an idiotic point. Now you've been asked, can we get measurable proof of the Earth's dimensions from the sun? The answer is no. We'll no wait for you to fucking dance about. We'll just tell you so that you save making a complete and utter arse of yourself. The answer is no, you cannot. But because it's something that you're making assumptions about and you don't fully understand, you're cherry picking it to fit your wee preconceived religious bias. That's what you're doing. You can work from the stars. Say there'll be a hotel in space so the public can holiday in space. Thoughts? I crack the jokes from about here. Hotels in space, I mean, they're just ripping the piss out of people. Totally ripping the piss out of them. Yes, Asma, I am on a higher plane of awareness. I am a superior being, looking down upon the masses with my hubris and my pomposity. That's exactly what I do while I'm sitting in a lotus position at the top of a mountain. You know, as I said before, maybe it's the best way to be. Maybe being bewildered and ignorant could be a form of necessity. If there's people that want to keep us going, and the reality of the situation is that we're isolated within a place that we cannot get out of, then you have to ask the questions, how would the majority of human beings cope with that? And then you could see a justification for something like the heliocentric model, because what it offers is the possibility of leaving the reference frame, and that we can maybe get to other places, but they make it so far away because in reality they know that you'll never achieve it. But just by pacifying the people of the possibility, you know, keeps them, you know, just in enough ignorance to carry on with the tasks at hand. Because if you were to show everybody, look, we're in an isolated unit here and we don't know what's going on outside it, we can't penetrate it, then there might be some panic. Maybe. I'm just saying it's a possibility. I'm not saying that is the case. But it could be. But again, I always offer these things because people just jump to thinking, you know, linearly, one way, and never weighing up the possibilities of what could be going on. I don't know that, Jack. Why? You need to elaborate on that a wee bit for me. But there's so many other places undiscovered, the oceans. What's underneath us? What's going on underneath? And there's always talk of up, across. What about down? What's going on down there? There may be clues, there may be things to find. This is why I keep coming back to getting as many people on board as possible, because by having as many different minds, there's the whole board can be covered. Different people can make different discoveries. Everybody prodding at different aspects, we're going to start to unravel things a lot quicker. But the problem is always corruption, you know, and the individuals being corrupted, and what are they actually serving? Which is why it's important for each individual human being to have an understanding of the processes of the mind, so that they can identify subjectivity, objectivity. They can then decipher information and things that are being offered to them and where it should be filed. And then from that you can start to identify who the bullshitters are. But without the individual being empowered with that, we're just going to keep perpetuating the same whirlwind of confusion. Because as soon as you move from one paradigm into another paradigm, it's the same old mindset, looking to authority, looking externally, being corralled and dictated and controlled in regards to behaviour, expectation, yada yada yada. You need true anarchy in the mind of every individual. And I mean anarchy in the true sense of the word. I don't mean rioting and shagging and pillaging and raping. That's criminality, not anarchy. And just because you propose an anarchistic mindset doesn't mean that it's going to descend into that. Because as I say, if people are empowered and liberated and have a proper understanding of mind, language, psychology, then the bullshitters are going to stick out like a fucking sore thumb. Remember, if you're directing something at me, you'll need to highlight it so that I know it's directed at me, because sometimes I can take things out of context or misinterpret because you're maybe talking to somebody else. I've seen that Andrew Calvert, but I've only seen it on the TV. You know, where there's a freshwater lake under the ocean and all this kind of stuff. But I've only seen it in a video. That's it, Justin, in the woods, but it comes right down to the individual. It has to be internal first, the anarchy. A mind without rules or rulers. But living with each other, we have to have a bare minimum. And the bare minimum for me is the golden rule. If I'm not physically imposing on you, then there is no criminality. That's it. But right now we're holding each other to subjective behaviours and expectations, and that's causing a lot of problems. Look, Socks of Truth, explaining stuff that you don't know anything about doesn't verify or give credence to your delusional wants for a particular model to be true. Get a grip of yourself. Again, you're just going to embarrass yourself coming here with that nonsense. What would an anarchy look like when you're in social contract? Listen to what I'm saying, Mark of Melbourne. It does not matter the scenario, the situations we're in right now. The anarchy I'm talking about is an internal one. Your relationship to the external world is what's dictating your behaviour patterns, how you feel, your moods, whatever else. That's a separate issue. But if you have anarchy of the mind, then nothing can fuck with you. You can wake up every day free within yourself, which to me is the most and first important thing that people have to sort out. Aye, Socks of Idiocy, come in here and show us all your idiocy. You know the truth is, there's probably fucking Timmy Spunkstein or one of these clowns again, or that's who they're listening to. Specialist pulls you for it. I need to make hundreds of assumptions in my mind, and it's just easier for me to believe in the plastic cartoon model that I was told, so therefore I don't need to think about it anymore. Now I'm going to run about the tinterwebs telling everybody they're morons if they don't believe me. My God, what an arse of yourself you're making, son. Mark, what is your problem? Like, you can think one thing, but it's what you do that really counts. Aye, and? So say the walk's the walk. But regardless of what I'm doing in my own subjective environment or internally, it's by the by. Anarchy is when you eradicate the systems of control from your mind. The restrictions and the impositions of the ideas and the concepts that have been handed to you, that you've been subjected to when you were born into the particular cult that you were born into. There's a process to that, to remove the shackles of it. Once you've done that, you're out in the wilderness. Yes, we can identify systems and practices that are going on and who may be running them and who's pushing them for what agenda, what ends, yada yada. I couldn't give a fuck, to be honest with you, unless I'm sorted here. It's no point in me sitting in my wee mind a wee victim. Hey, Illuminati's oppressing me, The Freemasons is oppressing me. Jimmy around the corner's oppressing me because he wears a different colour of shirt for me, Again, falling into the mindset, we should do something like it's our responsibility to take control of whatever's going on and dictate this, that and the other. People are just not getting it. The only thing I'm interested in if we're going to live communally is what infrastructure do we need? What's the bare necessities we need? What are the objective necessities of the whole? Let's cater to that. We can use systems to make sure that that functions properly. And then we can identify where any corruption or any bullshit's setting in. The rest of it, do what you fucking like. If you're imposing on another's will, then you're a criminal. If you force your neighbour through social contract, you rule over them, which is not an anarchy. Mark, pay close attention to what I'm saying to you. Right now, we're living in a system that's trying to dictate accepted. We realise that. It's happening, I'm involved in it right now, but what's different is my relationship to it. Because I do not ascribe any relevance or importance to it internally. I do not bend to any rulers. I do not bend to any other man trying to assert any dominance or right over the top of me. Unfortunately, we've been born into a later date of a system and a contribution that came from our ancestors, which is fine, has to be addressed. But it can never be addressed until the individual is grounded properly. The processes and the workings of the mind. It's like you're no listening. If you just get a bee in your bonnet that's blinding you to what I'm actually saying, come in and get it out. What's your beef? What is your misunderstanding? Come in and speak. This is the thing with people. They want to take shots from afar like there's some self-righteous messiah and come and dictate to you how you're wrong and this, that and the other, but yet they'll never sit and have a reasonable discussion with you about it. Which just tells me you're insecure. You're operating from ego, driven by your insecurities and your fear. You want some religious doctrine to be true. You want that to be ruling over us. That's fine. If you're weak enough that you need some transcendental fucking invisible imagination shite to fucking dictate and rule over so you can feel secure and safe, that's fine. But identify that that's what it is. It's not the truth. This clown's still going on about 2 celestial poles, whatever. I'm not even going to respond to you until you tell me the relevance. You're not going to be intellectually honest enough to say, well, I have to make assumptions about what it is I think I'm seeing. Exactly, Jacqua. Aye, I'll do a hangout in a minute. I don't know, Mason B. I doubt it. But I'm never one to go on assumptions, so I thought I would just take the cautious route and come on in case it's the last, just to say bye-bye. And to thank everybody who's been here, you know, everybody who got involved and everybody who contributed, you know. And that if it does, you know, everybody that's came, everybody that's went, you know, as I said from the very off, I have no personal gripe with anybody. You know, I'm not wrapped in some subjective, you know, domination task or any of that stuff. Things have happened, things have went on, and, you know, I wish everybody all the best and find the happiness or whatever it is they're looking for, you know. So, you know, I appreciate everybody that's came and partook, you know, trolls and fucking good guys, whatever. It's all experience. That's what happens, Jacques. You're not allowed to, because as soon as you question somebody's, you know, preconceived bias narrative, they automatically assume that you're the opposer to their narrative. This is what happens. It's always the same, you know. If you question evolution, you're automatically lumped as a creationist. You question creationism, you're automatically lumped as a materialist evolutionist. You know, it's like, well, hang on a minute, can we not just have a discussion? Why if we go to pigeonhole everybody? You know, it's always a problem. You know, like having a discussion about anything. I can talk about anything, but the problem is that people listening, you know, are interpreting what you're saying literally. So, like, if I talk about a possible scenario of us being isolated, and that the Earth may be moving uniformly or whatever, you know, then people are automatically attaching labels to you. That you're this and you fit into this pigeonhole because you said this and that, or you spoke about it. I can speak about anything. Don't start fucking pinning labels on me. Again, that's these people and their insecurities. It's a sign that they're projecting their insecurity. And again, you have to be wise enough to be able to recognise that. Opinion police people, aye. People say in my opinion, I just translate it as in my subjective delusional hubris, I want to assert this. Fuck your opinion. Particularly when it's, you know, aimed at some subjective aspect. I could not give a fucking rat's arse. No, you've all learned, Jacques. Well, if you've learned something, if anybody's learned something, it's because you had the ability yourself. It's not because there's anything special about me. I do not own any aspect of this reality or any discoveries that are made. If you have learned something, it's because you had the will and the desire to. So the credit always lies at your feet, not me or anybody else, because if you don't pay attention to that, that's when we slip into idolising and putting praise and elevating people and demeriting people and all this nonsense that goes on in the psyche of man. No worries, Des, I probably will be, mate. I'll just play it by ear, Doberman Cop. I'll see what happens. As I say, I'm not going to go expending any effort when I don't have to. Well, that's it, Jack. Well, you can't say that though, because you've said that now, you're now going to be pigeonholed as a Satanist. because you see common sense value in a particular literature, that now means that you're part of that philosophy and that cult and all this. This is what I'm saying. You know, everybody's witnessed it with me. You know, you talk about certain things, you highlight certain aspects to have a discussion about it, and all of a sudden you're bandied about. That's what you are. But that's how the game plays out. That's how they control people. Because people have got relationships to certain words, symbols, and they're utilised then to affect them. So, you know, you only need to say somebody's a Satanist and everybody goes, ooh, as if the gates of hell just opened up and the place is infested with fucking fire-breathing demons or something. Right, let's open up here. Let's see what's happening. So as I say, if the channel stays up, I'm going to start this mind mapping, and we can utilise it for any given scenario, and we'll use it as a cross-reference so that we can always identify the root of the issue, because for me every issue has a root, and you can root it out if you understand the process for it. So we'll work on it, and if as I say, if the channel keeps going, we can refine it, and I'll encourage everybody else to utilise it. And then you can start identifying your own biases. If you want to join me, there you go. Now a wee second here. Julie Thomas, yes, I'm doing a live hangout. You can join if you like. Cheers, Danny, Newcastle. Hello.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, who's this?
Yeah, I didn't realise I was actually on.
Who is it?
Yeah, it's Jay Johnson.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, who's this?
Yeah, I didn't realise I was actually on.
Whoever that is, you need to turn down YouTube.
Jay Johnson. Sorry.
Right, I'm switching it off. I'm going to open up another hangout. It's very, very simple. See how you're watching me on YouTube's right now? See if you're going to join the hangout. You need to turn the volume down on YouTube's, because there's a delay and it's going to confuse you. You're not coming in live to YouTube, you're coming into Google Hangouts. Try it again, shall we? I understand that it's only been 5 years, and that is quite difficult to understand. So, waiting to see if anybody comes in. Tried to come on your show back in the Marshall days, but somebody or them Doesn't want me to come on. They shut my internet down, my computer. This happens often when I'm in chat. Such bull. Well, we've experienced all sorts of nonsense through the years, to be honest with you, mate. So I wouldn't worry about it. I experience all sorts of crap constantly. Who's this? Hello.
Hey, good day.
Who's
Just
that?
wondering if you had any flat Earth evidence yet.
Why have you got a red retarded symbol? Why do you always feel the need to disguise yourself?
Because perhaps you've banned me on my accounts.
Ugh, whatever, I can't be bothered fucking running about trying to find all your accounts to ban them, son.
You should be bothered by you not having any flat Earth evidence after 5 years, though.
Look, listen, son, it's demonstrable the Earth is a level plane. That is my experience. If you want me to accept some concept that's contrary to everyday practical reality, then that's up to you, son. But you've brought me nothing.
Well, you actually wouldn't allow me to bring you my evidence that
Sonny, all you bring me is I see something. I see something, and I'm going
Isn't
to
that
just,
what your
I'm just
evidence
going to
is,
cherry
though?
pick it.
You say
just
everyday lived life is that you demonstrably see that it's flat.
I never
Isn't
said
that-
that. Don't twist my words, son. Look, don't twist my words.
Isn't that what you see, that it's flat? Isn't that right,
Well,
though?
seeing
You're
it's-
being contradictory and hypocritical.
Seeing it's one aspect, aye.
Okay, well, I actually have film of it and video.
Aye,
Video.
aye. Loads
from
of people
drone.
have got film and video, but you just admit all that. You just cherry pick whatever you want to fit your wee bias, sonny boy.
Isn't that what you do?
How,
though?
how far is your video footage? How many miles?
I can see Salt Lake.
How many miles? How many
I can see
miles?
Salt Lake City from
How
27
many
miles
miles
away.
is it?
I can see Salt Lake City from 27
Sammy,
miles away.
27 miles away. There's people that can view things. I can view Ailsa Rock from 40 miles away.
And I can do other observations that are 120 miles away. Who cares?
Exactly,
It's
because
not
they're
about-
inconclusive, because it's just purely visible phenomena. Why is tell me, why does the floor ramp up to the middle of your field of view?
Because of perspective, I
Right.
suppose.
So how are you factoring into perspective when you are making visible observations?
How would you like me to?
You're the one that wants to assert a visible phenomena as a proof, see, so you need to lay it out. So tell me, how are you factoring in human perspective in regards to a visible phenomena?
Perspective has nothing to do with things being obstructed. Like when the sun rises, the sun sets, the moon rises, the moon sets. It has nothing to do with perspective.
What's the moon and the sun got to do with the shape of the earth?
They rise and they set.
What
and
has the sun and the to your interpretation, Timmy? To your interpretation, now answer the question. What has the sun and the moon got to do with defining and quantifying the dimensions and the shape of the earth beneath your feet?
The sun rises and it sets. It
Go away,
goes
Timmy.
50
You're boring me,
per
son.
hour.
You're just going to
You
dance.
don't want to hear it.
Bye bye. Same old cat. Can't be bothered listening to you. If this was the last, what a way to go. Fucking shit sniffers. That don't even have the intellectual honesty to address what's being put to them. Cherry picking. Fantasists. Fanatical zealots. Note that I don't assert any visible proofs because they can't be quantified properly. There's too many grey areas. Too many things unknown. He's not going to answer the geometry of vision, Steve HV. None of them will.
Still running away, are you, Del? Why you gotta run away, dude? Seriously. I know you're
by
following this-
evading the logical, process here and what I'm actually saying to you. You're the one that runs, son.
No,
Right? I
you
just
take-
listen. Get
after
it
you
right.
ask-
I just can't be bothered with your level of stupidity and ignorance. Okay? You want to be biased and cherry pick things to suit your wee worldview. That's up to you. Am I coming to you? Am I coming to your platform or chasing you to harass you about your fanatical beliefs? No, I'm not. So
You're
why
here
are
for
you
your
here?
attention.
Why are
You're
you here,
for the
Timmy?
people in your chat.
Timmy,
That's what you're here for.
why are you here, son?
To just show you up, bud, because you have nothing still
I've
after
just
5
spanked
years.
you. I've just made you
You
look
have
like an
zero.
absolute clown. You're a sadomasochist. You love me
Nothing.
bitch slapping you.
You're the only
You
one
have
showing yourself up, buddy.
Absolutely
Literally,
nothing.
You're trying to be a scientist, and you come in here and you say, "How would you like me to implement perspective into my studies?" It's like you're just a joke, dude.
Exactly. And
You guys say that perspective
You're
has
like
something
a
to do with
dude.
buildings.
You're seriously like a prostitute.
Do you know
You're
what
like
it
coming
is?
here, like, how would
Do you know
like
what's
me to do
Apollon?
this?
Hang on a minute. Do you know what's admirable about Timmy? What I actually admire about you, Timmy, is that you don't have a brass neck, which means you don't really care about how stupid you look in front of us.
Like a prostitute.
I mean, come on.
Right, let's get somebody else that doesn't understand to turn the YouTube on. So there is an admirable trait to tell Timmy boy that I can get on board with. That no matter how many times you get spanked, and no matter how many times you make him look like an absolute stupid cunt, it just keeps coming back, which is admirable. Stupid, but admirable. And then they wonder why you say things like their own task. Because as I've highlighted so many times, think about it. You'll never see me on any of their platforms running about trying to battle with them. Because I couldn't give a fuck. I'm secure in my own being. Why can they not be? Which makes you have to question the reasons. Again, let's look for the root. What is the driving force behind these behaviours? And when you assess it, you see that something's just not right. We're either dealing with mental retardation, emotional insecurity and retardation, or we're dealing with somebody who's trying to perpetuate a wee agenda. What difference does it make? We'll try again. If you're coming on, turn the YouTube watch page down. Gadfly, you can click the link that's above your comment. It's a new hangout.
Hey,
How you doing?
good and you?
Alright. I don't know who this is, hold on. Hi.
Hey. Yeah, that guy was just really ridiculous. But I mean, he's actually probably smarter than a lot of globe heads, because like at least he almost realized that he should be taking perspective into account. For a moment there, you kind of got him stumped.
Yeah. Well, that's it. They'll just then reverse it. How would you like me to implement it? As again,
Yeah, I know, but for a moment, yeah, like
that's it.
for a moment there was a bit of
But
there was a light
Timmy's
bulb that I think went off vaguely.
guys like Timmy like the practice of sophistry. You know, they actively participate in fallacious reasoning and logics. And he's an expert at being dumb, pretty much. So that's what I'm saying about questioning the reasoning behind their actions, which tells you that he's either, really retarded or he's up to something.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was first waking up, and you realize that you'll just make up theories that you've never heard before that just conveniently fit so that you can stay believing something.
Yeah.
And it's just so
Exactly.
So like, yeah, it's hard for me to get super mad at people like that, because it's like, I can remember just, and then there came a point where I just realized, like, how long am I going to keep making up random theories for me to believe that the globe's a globe when it's not.
Exactly. And that is, you know, and again, you see the intellectual dishonesty, because we've looked at, you know, apparent visible proofs, and there's so many inconsistencies from one day to the next, from one day to the next. You know, it's a unexacting science, as far as I'm concerned. So, as I say, you don't, if you're going to make an assumption, understand the substance that you're viewing over, and that's the point that they'll never go to. You know? Yeah, here we go.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally no proof. Like, even with GoPro footage, if it was a sphere and it was genuine footage. Oh, it's this guy again with the echo.
Right, yeah, really, that thing of
Maybe quite a lot of echo. Yeah, but anyway, like, yeah, GoPro, I can't really speak, like, when it's like this.
No, this is a problem. Jay, or whoever you are, if you get anything to offer.
Yeah, I think I got here. Man, it took a while.
Who's this?
Jason.
Who?
Me. Yeah, Jason.
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 Was that?
Oh my god, man. Fucking bullshit, eh?
Your texts, obviously. What's your username?
Hey?
What's your username?
No, I'm Jason.
Yeah.
My username is Jason.
You're really bad. Your
Yeah,
text
cutting
really
out
bad.
and all that. Whatever.
Right. Martin, is that Martin?
Because I've actually got something to say, apart from all this bullshit that everyone else is going on about this old bastard and everything else. So anyway, I'll just drop out. You know,
Maybe
not gonna happen. I've just been watching this fucking flat Earth bullshit go down, and I've watched you also put up with it. That's, you know, really, come on now. Come on, that's what it's all about.
Stop generalising and start being specific. Give me a specific example of what you're talking about.
We're talking about people who are living in this world, like you and me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this old fella here, right? Now, how the fuck are we going to fix this shit?
Fix yourself. Focus on yourself first.
I'm not asking you. No, just fix yourself, you know. No, I'm not asking you to.
Well, listen, if you get a messiah complex, do you think it's your task to fix the world?
No, you're actually.
Listen, your text doing my tits in. Your tech is doing my fucking tits in. You need to sort the sound out.
Alright, if I'm pissing you off, then fair enough.
It's just because
But
it's crackling and it's so hard to listen to. There's no clarity. Can you just jump out and try and fix your tech and then come back in again?
Okay, if I'm. Yeah, okay.
Smashing.
Yeah, if
Just
things
press
not
the
right.
red button and go and fix your tech and then come back so we can have a clear conversation.
Yeah.
Go then!
Oh, wait.
Right. Trying to hang out.
Right, we've got guests here. We've got Joe and we've got Martin.
Hello, Dal.
How you doing?
Hello, Del, mate.
There we go. Is that right? Who's Jay? Gonna just go away because you're texting my fucking box in, son.
What was that?
You need to press exit. Go out the hangout. You're affecting everybody else's ability to speak.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry guys. I didn't realise. I didn't realise. Okay, how do I do that? Oh, fuck.
Press the red button.
Uh,
It's a wee
Okay,
red button
yeah.
with a white phone on it.
There we go.
Fucking hell, man. Peace in the ears, wey.
I couldn't tell if he was trolling or.
Probably. So, how we going? We'll get Joe and we'll get Martin. How you doing, guys?
I'm good, thanks,
Good.
Dal.
I'm good, thank you, mate. Good.
Nice one. What you guys saying to you?
Well, I just think that the obvious thing to do would be to, like other people have done, is to set up a GoFundMe and either charter a plane for, ideally 2 planes, and do a trip along the Meridian line, go all the way south and just keep going south. We can send the Grovers due south while we measure the true size of Antarctica in 2 aeroplanes or even 1. How about that?
No, I'm up for that, mate. I'm up for that. The
And
cleaners.
other people have done it. Who's that guy, Greatest Sapien, or whatever he calls himself? Got raised $20,000 and then
Either.
it disappeared. Remember that?
But what we'd have to do is make sure we've got clearance and proper clearance that we would be allowed to achieve that, mate.
Exactly. But if it can be done, it should be done. Yeah.
Of course.
So there's enough people now, not just in the UK, but all over the States. It's an idea. Nothing as powerful as an idea, mate, is there?
That's it, mate. Aye. Especially one that we can put into practical, motion. Definitely.
Demonstration. Let's demonstrate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm up for that, mate. I'm up for that.
So I've actually started writing a script to a film or a series. Put down all the bits of arguments I hear from you, and I hear from other people like Joshua Swift and other activists, and it's a growing thing. It's such an interest. I don't know how YouTube are going to justify closing us down. So I call it Irish Queries because I've spent some time with a few guys with a couple of cameras and a few ideas. I actually sent it to you once, but you must get a lot of crank mail, so
Okay.
I'll send it to you again, eh?
Yeah, do that, mate. Do that. What's the name on it?
Well, it'll come from me, Martin, and it's called Irish Queries Revised.
Cool.
And it's existential humour, it's scientific method. The 3 ex-services guys, are trying to make them Irish. And so we want the Air Force guy, because they haven't got an Air Force, but it was with the RAF. The main protagonist, I've called him Cornelius. It's an Irish name I came across when I was out there. It's really a story about 3 guys in a pub. Starts off, and one of them's got a boat, so they get a laser, they shoot it 20 odd miles, and go, look, there you go. And one of them says, oh no, it's got to be refraction. And so they try something else, a couple of balloons, triangulate the sun. That sort of stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. Should be a bit funny as well.
Good.
You've always got a mixed humour in with serious shit, and this is about as serious as it gets.
That's it, mate. You've got to laugh. You've got to laugh.
Indeed. I've been an admirer of your courage, mate, to stand there and say, speak up for the truth. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
And you've influenced me, and that's one of the reasons I've done it. With guys like you.
Nice one. Excellent. Right, well, I look forward to the email, mate.
You get it.
Good man.
The AAH thing at 77, is it?
What is it?
Well, your email is along the top of the screen. Yeah,
That's it. That's it. At the top of the screen, mate. Aye. Is it on?
Cool.
Aye, it's on. Aye.
Let's hear from your friend.
Right. Joe,
Yo, hello, mate. You all right?
how's it going?
Yeah, well, good, mate. Good. No, I just wanted to say, I know that you said this might be the last one. Obviously, there's all the shit that's going about on YouTube.
Yeah.
I've been watching you for a while, mate. You make complete sense. As me, I've for about 7-8 years now, I've come to terms with everything's a load of bollocks. As you said, I walk my own walk as well. I just still can't believe that there's so many people believe something so strong with zero proof.
Yeah.
And it goes with everything, like religion, the ball. think like that. They're the two main things that everyone believes in, but there's not one single proof for any of them.
Yeah.
And then you just get called an outer for actually pointing out the opposites, you know what I mean? As if, like, just go and look for it yourself and you'll see that
Well,
what
he's
you've been...
breaking their immersion.
What's that?
He's breaking their immersion in their game that they think they're playing.
Oh, Dell?
Yeah.
I was just saying that, you know, people are so saturated in the belief structures, you know, that they don't want it broken. And it's an understandable trait, you know, it's a recognisable psychological dysfunction, you know.
And everyone's been brought up the same, you know what I mean? Everyone was brought up.
So,
Everyone takes time to realise certain things, experience and everything shows you otherwise than what... I mean, there's a lot of things just start to make sense once you start seeing through the bullshit.
exactly.
And the same in all walks of life, not just this, in everything. I mean, I ain't watched no telly for about 11 years now. I just, you know, and my head's gone a lot clearer. You know, I mean, you start seeing things a lot clearer. You're seeing people for who they actually are. You start realising politics is just basic politics. There's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
You know, like what's going on now with all these elections and all that. I ain't got a clue what's going on in them, but everyone's fart-arsing about, leaflets everywhere,
Yeah.
shit coming through your door, vote for me, never met you in my life.
Exactly.
Well, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? It's madness.
Yeah.
I think the Monster Raven Looney Party might do well this year.
yeah.
The leader of it lives in my town.
Oh, yeah. So, be honest, if some fella at me work knows one of them
Howling
as well.
Wolf,
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, to be honest, all politics. I don't believe in giving someone else
Authority.
like authority and decisions of my life when they've got nothing to do with my life. So
Exactly.
as I just
Especially,
live day by day.
especially
I've got
when
3 kids.
necessities-
Go on, mate. Go
No,
on.
I was just going to say, especially when necessities are not being met, these people,
Yeah.
and you know, as I say, that kind of structure is only useful for, you know, an objective infrastructure. What's the bare necessities? What do we require? What, you know, what do we agree upon? But you know, as soon as it starts to go to subjective corruption and bias, then we've got a real issue. You know, and that's
Yeah.
that for me. If you watch them debating at the House of Commons, you see all this sophism and practice. And these guys, they don't even take it that seriously. They know they're stepping into a role, they're playing a character, and they just have a laugh. It's all,
Yeah. Bunch of mugs, mate.
bunch of
They're
fucking...
literally just they're replaying. That's how they used to do it back in the day with religious disputes. They would actually sit in the exact same way they sit and fight and talk like that. And now they're just doing it again, and it's just like just rubbing it in our faces. This all like there's no
And what
separation of church and state whatsoever.
And the horrible thing is that you still see people falling to their knees for them. And it's like, what is it going to take for people to actually realise it is a load of rubbish?
Yeah.
And as it's people like yourselves that actually speak up. Like I've been coming on your channel for a good while. I'm Mr. Red 07 on there. But like I've never jumped in before. I don't really do none of this. It's the first I actually just downloaded Hangouts just to think, fuck it, why not? You know what I mean? You might be gone tomorrow. I know you won't, but you know what I mean? It's just basically to say that you are not the only one, mate, and keep it up.
Ah, nice one, mate. Good.
Yeah. And it's the kids are the main one, you know what I mean?
What's that?
What they're treating them now. It comes with everything, as you're saying about the LGBT and all that. I've got friends that are gay, lesbian, you know what I mean? And they don't go pushing it down people's throats and, oh, you better give me rights for this and rights for that.
No.
They're just like us, you know what I mean?
Totally.
As you said, don't care if you've got 3 cocks, 2 asses or whatever.
Exactly, I just see a human being. That's it.
That's it, exactly it. Exactly. My kids, like where I live, like it's just like we are a minority, but my kids don't see colour. They just see friends, and you know what I mean. It's nothing like that. I don't bring them up to see colour or race or religion.
Exactly.
They learn whatever they want through their own life.
Exactly. This is what the point I was making at the beginning. You know, people talk about politics, all these movements, and I'm like, are you focusing on their own internal workings, your own mind, your own processes?
That's
Sort
just
that
separating
out.
people more.
Liberate yourself internally, and then you
Yeah.
know focus your intent on your immediate family, your children, and,
Yeah,
and
that's
try
it.
and keep them liberated and free to express and explore their own subjectivity, and that's it. It's no fucking difficult, you know.
Yeah. And it's hard as well because you want to tell the kids, like I've got a 16-year-old, 11-year-old, and 5-year-old. So the 16-year-old I could talk to more to about because I've got less for him to worry about because he's old enough to start putting things together himself. I don't want to scare the 11 and 5-year-old, tell him all the stuff that is actually going on.
Yeah, yeah. It's,
You know what I mean?
it's difficult
You
as
kind of
well.
guide him a safe way as if. Go on.
No, it's difficult as well, you know. The age of reason. I don't know when they reckon that kicks in, but it is difficult to reason properly, you know, at certain ages. So maybe once they're a bit older, you can. But that's the problem. They're going to have to live some of the delusion. They're going to have,
Exactly.
They're going to have to
Exactly.
be poisoned and saturated by some of the nonsense, so that then you may have the discussion. Which again,
And it's hard for him.
aye, which is something that I'm planning and working on as well. You know, maybe just making wee videos for the future, so that in a time maybe when they're older and I'm gone, you know, if it's still here and they can still access it, they can have something to reference. You know,
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully by then, it'll be a lot better.
Yeah, well,
And they won't even actually need to look back at this to try and figure out what's happening. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But, yeah, go on, I'll sit back for a second, mate. I'll let this Jay jump in. He's been trying for a while, hasn't he?
Ah, it's fine. It's fine. Thanks. Yeah, I really, it's come to a point. This flat Earth bullshit, you know, with all these globers, you know, like it's come to a point where it's absolutely don't even talk to them. Don't even fucking talk to them. There's no need to talk to anyone who is a glober.
Even if you're just saying about calling people globers or flat earthers or whatever, you're still labeling people. You're still jumping to what they do anyway. So all the global talk and everything is.
A glober is someone who actually sees the evidence and doesn't play ball. Anyone else is just a normal person, you know. Like it's a difference. There's a difference.
Yeah.
At the same time, but listen, at the same
So
time,
don't even talk to them anymore.
but listen,
Don't
Jay,
truly, it really.
are we having a conversation, or were you just going to fucking talk all the tapias?
Okay, wait.
Trying to have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's not your opportunity to come in and fucking proselytise to everybody. Right, so I agree. Certainly, not finished talking. Is it just me? Are you drunk? Are you drunk?
What are you even asking me?
Jay, can you see when I'm getting a wee bit agitated and annoyed? Maybe have a wee reflection and think, what am I actually doing here? Because you're quite irritating. There's so much noise coming through your sound and you're just shouting and talking over the top of everybody.
Okay. Yeah, I'll sit back. Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes it's useful, especially when people don't understand the language of the globe or that kind of concept. So sometimes it's good to engage in it so that you can highlight the sophistry, because if you don't, how is anybody ever going to learn? You can't just say, oh, I'm a fucking messiah, I know, therefore fuck the world.
Yeah, but that's how I feel, you know. It's like, I really do feel like that.
I know, well,
you know,
sometimes we can get frustrated, but you need to understand that it's not just black and white.
Okay. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Now the conversation's not flowing, Jay, because your social skills are quite bad.
Yeah, if it's going to upset him, I'll drop him. Anyway, mate, thanks for the call back. Well, yeah.
I think he's up on that space station.
Aye. Right, so now the conversation's just met a fucking dead end. What were we talking about in the first place? This is another aspect that human beings have real problems with. How to be civil. How to actually have a conversation consists of, see, not just coming with, I want to rattle out my whole spiel and have an audience to listen to my spiel, right? Go and make your own channel for that. See, when you're coming into a communal setting, you know, it requires listening and
Hey,
contributing.
dickhead. Fucking listen. There's people that fucking will listen to you.
Bye. The other guests are free to join. I'm not putting up with that fucking rambling nonsense. You ever get that? I mean, you can. The reason I can recognise that, right, because as I've been there, that's the whole point. If you self-reflect enough, you can start to recognise some of the flaws in everybody else and where the problems are. So, you know, have you ever been in that position in your life where you're not really listening because you've just got something prominent in your mind and you want to blurt it out, right? That's an issue. You know, when you're coming into a situation of conversation, discussion. If you want to proselytise, get yourself a wee box or your own channel and you can proselytise on there all you like. But when you open up to have conversations, you have to adopt another mindset which requires listening and speaking relevant to what is being spoken about. Did I put a link in? I did hit the button yet. Why so much hate and anger? I didn't realise it was hatred and anger. I don't hate anybody. Again, misinterpretations. Identify your own subjective, you know, blinkers. Cleanse your perceptions. Or you're just going to miss out on what's actually there in the world. Right, we're back. So we have Joe and we have Jean.
Evening.
Hello.
Evening.
I'm sure you guys understand how a conversation works.
Yes.
Nobody say to proselytise and tell us all. No.
Well, you speak, we answer. Someone else speaks, they answer.
General conversation.
Yeah, question, answer. Make an observation. Have an observation on return.
Right.
Just wanted to say, Dal, it's gosh, it's been a long time actually. If you do it in terms of months and weeks, but in years or in awakeness, perhaps not that long a time. But I hope that if you do disappear as a little icon on my screen, I'll still be welcome for a cup of tea.
Of course. Of course.
And I'd like to just emphasise that to people in chat. If you think that people might not be there tomorrow, although I personally think that's just another way of Google or YouTube trying to work out how many people actually care,
Of course, yeah.
then make a little connection tonight in chat. Find out who those people are. If you really, really want to get to know them as people, if you just want to chat to the icon and their avatar and have a little banter and not be the person that you really are in real life, then who gives a shit? Just press the X button at the end and bye-bye.
That's it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So again, it's always the same. If you want to get to know people, then you need to meet them in reality, because you can be anybody you want on here. You know, doesn't make it through. You know.
No.
Scotland is a bit too far down, mate, to be honest with you.
That's
Yes, but you might
And
travel
cold.
one day.
That's not an excuse, mate. That's just an excuse. You know, there's people who've travelled
And
from
cold,
afar.
mate.
I just
It's
don't
not
think you
that
want
cold,
to.
it's above zero.
Sorry, we've got
At the
some.
moment.
You know,
So I've got somebody
Who's
else
gonna
in
go
here
to
just
that?
want to invite into the conversation. Oyiwu, some Oyiwu. I don't know what the rest of that says. Too busy eating.
Sorry, now you can call me.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I obviously I'm not a flat earther, but obviously I just wanted to take just have a conversation about why you are one, and maybe what got you to that position.
Well,
So,
Can you define flat earth?
well, that's what I was just going to say, Gene. First and foremost, you have to give me a definition of how you're ascribing that label to me. What is it?
okay, no problem. Sorry if that's offensive.
No, it's not
I just
offensive.
mean
I'm
that-
just trying to. It's no. Let's not get snowflakish. I'm just trying to have a clarity of communication. So when somebody makes an assertion or a statement like that, I have to clarify what you actually mean. What is your preconceived idea of a person like me? How would you attach that label? So when somebody makes an assertion or a statement like that, I have to clarify what you actually mean. What is your preconceived idea of a person? Oh man, I fuck.
Okay.
There is always one, isn't there?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, my notion of a flat earther would probably be someone who doesn't believe in the consensus that the Earth is a globe currently, and they believe that the Earth is flat. I guess in comparison, so it's probably someone who doesn't believe.
Well, the first and foremost, I obviously I deny that it's a globe because there's absolutely no scientific measurable proof or any demonstrations whatsoever to support any of its assertions. Secondly, you know, the Earth, to my experience, is demonstrably a level plane. There is high points and there is low points, all defined from the level.
Okay, but so you discount all the physical evidence we can see in the sky, etc.
The
Stuff that we
physi-
can explain using the globe model.
Hang on,
as well?
the stuff that you see in the sky is not physical to your understanding. The stuff in the sky is purely visible to you, not physical. Because you cannot move around it in 3 dimensions. You can only view it 2-dimensionally through your eyes. Do you
But
understand?
you can also see 3-dimensional stuff on a 2D plane.
What do you mean?
You can't, just because it appears 2-dimensional that also doesn't prove that it's 2-dimensional. If you understand.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. You can only see. Can you get to the sky? Can you get to any of the luminaries in the sky?
Oh, no, I can't.
Right, so you're only seeing them
There you go.
2-dimensionally then.
Okay, so your assertion is that because we can only perceive it in 2D, that it is 2D. We can't.
No.
claim that it's 3D.
No. I'm no asserting that it's anything.
He's
It's
not
a
claiming
fact.
anything.
It's a fact that you can only see it in 2 dimensions. So your interpretations of what you think you're seeing into a 3-dimensional model is your assumption. That's something you have to focus on. That's not my assertion.
Okay. And then let's circle back to your main argument on why you think the Earth is flat, or at least not a globe.
So see, the thing about language again, I just want to clarify, there is no argument because it's not an idea. The objective reality is singular. It's not an idea to be won and lost by rhetorical devices. So when we talk about objective reality, what I expect is a practical reference, something demonstrable that I can quantify in 3 dimensions. I don't need words. I don't need concepts or ideas or language. You make a statement about something being objectively true, then you demonstrate it to me.
Okay, I understand.
That's it.
So I don't think I could ever change your mind on the idea. So I won't try to.
No,
But I
no,
don't
but
say.
that's the thing. Do you have anything demonstrable that would support your belief that it's a globular Earth?
I believe that because I feel like the main point a lot with people who don't believe the Earth's a globe is the fact that water curves. They don't believe that. Obviously, since in reality, when you see water on the
Water
plane,
curves.
it doesn't curve, right? And I'm not saying it curves. I'm saying it for you when you look at it on a small scale, it doesn't curve on a flat surface, correct?
It's not just on a small. What do you mean on a small scale? It's the substance.
Doesn't curve.
The physicality of the substance is that
Doesn't
it
curve at
cannot
all.
support shear stress. It cannot support itself. It is formless. It will form a free surface. The free surface that it forms when it's contained as a horizontal plane, and it's level, defined as level meaning no deviation in elevation from any given point to any other point upon that surface. That's a demonstrable fact.
Okay, yeah. But obviously there are stuff like meniscus, so you could say that at some point water does curve.
Meniscus on a small scale between, I think the limitation to that is about 2.5 inches. Anything above that you will not get a meniscus, and a meniscus is a convexity, it's not a concavity. It's a concavity,
And
it's
it's-
not a convexity.
Okay.
So I don't know what
And it's
meniscus
still
is going to be
contained.
with a globular earth and rotund convex oceans. It's not the same. It's a misrepresentation. It's a red herring.
Okay, sure. So that's I'm only just trying to point out. I think that's where we diverge. I think gravity can cause water to curve on the scale of the Earth. That's what I believe.
Why?
Can be a globe.
Why do you believe that?
Why do I believe that gravity exists?
No, why do you believe gravity can change the properties of water?
Oh, because the force is big enough to pull the.
So
you don't
you're
like the word
saying
pull,
gravity's a force? Are you saying gravity's a force?
Gravity's- I think it is.
Is it?
Is it? Can I just interject?
What-
Is this something that you've always been taught?
But listen, Gene, I don't want to interrupt. I just want to keep the flow here because I want to make these points, if you don't mind. I don't want to be, omitting anything. We can all join the conversation, but I
definitely.
want to focus in on these things right now. So, when you say gravity can achieve these things, what's the mechanism? How does gravity, what is gravity? What's its mechanisms and how does it interact with a substance like water? And have you got a practical demonstration to show me?
I don't think we can reproduce a body big enough to show us the effects. of
So it's
gravity.
pseudoscience then? So it's pseudoscience?
One more time.
That's pseudoscience. When you make an assertion and then you say, give me excuses like, oh, I need to leave the reference frame in order to show you it, that's no science, that's pseudoscience.
That's pseudoscience. Okay.
Well, it's for me saying, well, right now, matter is being held together right now by invisible leprechauns, but I need to get out with this reference frame to another reference frame so that we can observe the leprechauns. Do you believe me?
Okay, I understand your point. And let me also just tell you why I could never become a flat earther at the same time. If you let me say that.
Whoever it is that's making the noises, please stop. Sorry, on you go.
Alright, sorry. So I was saying, the reason why I don't think I could ever become a flat earther, because I liken it to this analogy. This might be a fallacy, but this is how I liken it. So I'd say if let's say I was ill, and a doctor recommended me what to do to get better, maybe medicine, etc. I'm definitely going to take his opinion to obviously better myself. So instead of me going online, looking online to see what I could find for myself, or going off you without a scientific background, I don't think I could change my mind that quickly or at all.
Well,
So
listen,
no,
I'll help you. I'll help you understand the faulty reasoning that you've got right there, because what you're doing is equating two different things altogether. Being a practitioner of medicine is a specific field that people go into that you can learn about, right? What we are talking about is that what every single one of us is the scientist, because objective reality is within your grasp and it's within my grasp. It doesn't require a line of expertise.
Okay.
So why are you trying to equate going to a doctor for some ailment to your experience of your objective reality and what you as a man can demonstrate to me as another man as in regards to the claims you're making?
Okay, I understand your point. But at the same time, in this current world, I feel like the globe model can predict so much more than any flat Earth model can.
Give me an example. Give me an
And
example.
I'm still, an example of something the flat Earth model, the globe Earth model can predict.
Aye.
What is it? Stuff like eclipses.
They were being predicted
know
way
it.
before the globe concept was about.
Sorry.
They were predicted before the globe concept came about. The thing about what you're doing here is that Earth. The reality came first and foremost, right? So the
Okay.
reality was here before man started to interpret things that he doesn't understand. Now, when man started to interpret the luminaries, things that he can't get to, he can interpret them to fit any model you want, because a model is just a model. It's no reality.
Okay, I understand what you mean. Okay, but I feel like back then we could predict them because obviously we've seen them occur within a specific time frame, so we can kind of predict from what's happened before.
Right,
But I
so
feel like now
making
science is getting
predictions of you understand that the clock in the sky resets every 365 days. It's a constant cycle that keeps repeating over and over again. You know that?
Okay, yeah.
Right.
I feel like science,
So
science
that can be
is getting-
interpreted to fit anything you want. Right? Now here I'm going to ask you a question. Can you tell me how you get measurable proof of the shape of the Earth by anything above you?
measurable shape of the Earth, but
By
Yes, I'm
anything
above
that's
you.
above you? Could you measure the dimensions of the floor that you're in right now just by looking at the light fixing?
No, I can't.
Right. So what's the relevance
What, to up above?
to what's down below?
So hold on, I don't think I can kind of explain that one.
You can't, because it's illogical. This is the doctrine of the globular cult. It's made you think that it's making relevant points that somehow prove the Earth's a globe, when in reality it's red herrings, sophistry, logical fallacies, misrepresentations.
But I'm also not claiming to be scientifically literate to explain everything that happens on the Earth.
So listen, what you're saying to me is that you don't have the responsibility and the inclination to be able to understand your reality, but you're going to assert to me that you believe it's a globe. Really?
Yeah, I would. I think I'd definitely go over the consensus over the small majority.
Well, that's fine. If you want to live in ignorance, that's up to you.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I don't think that your claims have as much scientific basis as the consensus right now. And until that can be shown, then I will consider it.
Well,
I don't think I can ever consider it.
So you're one of the problems that human beings are experiencing right now, because you're going to go with consensus, regardless of whether it's right or wrong. And you think that's sane. That's insanity, what you've just stated to me.
I mean, regardless of right and wrong, that's science.
No, it's
Science
not. Consensus is not science.
No, science has always been based on consensus.
No, it's not.
Not always based on consensus, but normally the consensus is accepted and built upon it. And if something does come worthwhile of proving it, then that will
there's a consensus in the Vatican that their story of our existence is true. Does that mean it's true?
What, the science of the Vatican?
Well, there's a consensus in the Vatican or any particular religion. Just because there's a consensus, that somehow means it's objectively correct.
No, it doesn't.
Right. So why are you continuing to pursue this illogical reasoning process?
Because I don't know any better. And I don't claim to know any better than the scientists.
Well, I don't know what you're here to offer me, because, to be honest with you, you're too ignorant and too dumb, and you're not taking responsibility for your own being. So I don't know what you can offer me.
Yeah, but I offer the same thing in reply. I don't think you can offer as much evidence or background to the world we live in.
But you're appealing to consensus. Reason with me as a man. I can offer you reasons and objective reasons for why I don't take the globe to be anything other than a mathematical concept. Now, for you to appeal to consensus and all the illogical stuff you've done means absolutely nothing to me. So you deny how water behaves. You deny your own constitution. That's totally ignorant.
But I accept gravity and you don't.
No, listen to what I'm saying. Listen, you accept gravity. Gravity is a concept. There's two definitions of gravity. What gravity do you go by? Which model of gravity do you believe in?
Oh, in terms of Einsteinian or what, Newtonian?
Yes, what one do you ascribe to?
I feel like both are applicable.
Where are they applicable? Can you demonstrate any of them to me?
Einsteinian gravity has been applicable in terms of predicting planets.
No, Einsteinian gravity is the warping and bending of space-time.
Okay.
Right? Newtonian is mass attracting mass. Now, space-time is not a fabric, it's not a substance, it's not a thing, it's a concept. Mass attracting mass is another concept. There's no demonstration of it. How does attraction work? How do you get something to come towards something else? How do you achieve that?
I feel like it's in relation to the masses. I think the mass has to be big enough.
Motion can only be achieved by one surface contacting another surface and applying a pressure to it. So how does gravity function? How does gravity interact with objects?
I mean, you're saying that there always has to be contact, but there is also magnetism.
Right. So how do you think magnets work then?
I'm not sure actually. I never thought about it.
Right, so we've got two magnets here. These are magnets, right? And you're going to say, right, okay, that one went to that one. What is it you think's happening between this one and this one to make it go towards it?
It's something on the atomic scale.
What?
It's something like to do with charges.
So you've got a couple of options. Either this one here is casting out some invisible rods that are attaching onto the front of this one and winding it in, or it's casting out rods that can run the back and push it in, or there's a flow of some kind of some essence that's flowing into a particular region that's carrying this one into it.
That's interesting.
Well, that's the only way it can be, because pull and attraction are just words to denote something coming closer to something else. They're not a mechanism of motion.
I understand. So I feel like
I don't think you do understand.
I do understand, and I think I do want to clear up. I think your basis in obviously not accepting the globe Earth is for people to go outside and do their own experiments to verify.
The basis for no believing in the globe is it has absolutely no scientific merit whatsoever. It's not demonstrable. It is not measurable. It's a concept based on vision.
Okay, and then you also do go further to deny, obviously astronauts, all the space stuff we've done as well. It's a whole conspiracy.
Because they're showing me a picture that's contrary to demonstrable reality.
Okay, but I also, and then further on from that, it's harder to obviously not accept the globe Earth and then accept the conspiracy, because then you can also say the conspiracy is so much more unlikely.
What are you talking about conspiracies for? We're
terms of
talking
space travel and stuff.
we're talking about exploration of the objective reality. Now, think about this. I'm going to try and reason with you, right? As a man to a man, right? Don't appeal to authorities or consensus or anything, right? If I make a statement to you, right? What is it you require in order for you to accept that statement to be real?
Okay, proof or evidence?
Would you need some practical reference for it?
Proof or evidence, yeah. Or
So something practical. I would have to actually show you something that you can look at, break apart, define, and quantify in 3 dimensions. Right. So what have you got then in regards to the globular Earth that fits that criteria?
Practical. Okay, I understand. So I can't really show it on practically in front of you. I can't pour water on a ball and show it sticking to the ball.
So it's pseudoscience then. It's a belief in nonsense.
I wouldn't say nonsense. I just feel like with the model, how we can predict so much stuff, how we can explain so much
But
stuff.
listen, I'm going to clarify it for you. Right? There's 2 worlds at play, 2 geometries at play, okay? The geometry of the tangible 3-dimensional reality that you move around in, and the geometry of your vision.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Okay, sure, I understand that.
So the world is how it appears to you when you look through your eyes, is not how it actually is. Do you understand that?
Okay, sure.
Right.
Okay, it's not okay. The way we perceive it is not the same as it actually is. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, just by your vision. So when you look along a street, you look along a street, you know that the lampposts are not getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You understand that?
Yeah, I do.
Right. So that's a totally different geometry from the 3 dimensions. 3-dimensional reality, the world of engineering and practicality, utilises and understands that the Earth's a level plane. That's the geometry that it assumes. Now, when we come to vision, it's spherical geometry because your eyes are curved. You see and like that. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do.
Right. So when you're invoking visible phenomena, you're in the world of visible geometry. When we're talking about practicality, we're in the world of tangible geometry in 3 dimensions, which is Euclidean planar.
True. I understand.
So if we use Euclidean plane geometry in everyday life, the geometry that we assume is a level plane and it works, how can the Earth be a globe?
Okay, I understand.
Do you understand?
Okay, with the globe model, normally most people would say that on the scale that we are, how small we are, it obviously appears as it does appear as a flat plane and acts as a flat plane for like a vast distance. So obviously that's the factor. But at the same time, I've also, listening to you talk, I've definitely gained a really big appreciation of what you do and your understanding.
You keep getting back to how it just appears like flat locally and all this stuff, right? What I'm saying to you is look, in engineering terms, right, if we're 10 miles away from each other, right, and we're using Euclidean planar principles, okay, I'm going to do a wee diagram for you and I'm going to make the point here for you so you can understand, right? If the Earth's curved, right, and on your model that you believe in and we're utilising construction purposes, I want you to build that's your starting point. Now, to your position here on a globular Earth, that's perfectly 90 degrees to the surface for you, right? Now we've got somebody here doing the same, right? Now we want to build a bridge towards each other, but from the first reference point, we're going to build square, okay? So when we start building square, it means 90 degrees. Can you see what's happening? What's happening?
You're saying we can never create the bridge if we're using Euclidean plane principles.
Exactly, on a curved surface, because it doesn't work on a curved surface.
I understand, but I have read. I'm not sure if I'm appealing to authority here, but I have read when I think in London when they was constructing one of the railway lines, they did have to account for curvature.
No, they didn't.
You don't think they did?
No, they didn't. Go and get me the citation for it.
Oh, okay, sure. Now,
well, if you do you know what it is? Who told you that they accounted for curvature?
I think it was on BBC London.
BBC what?
BBC. It was a BBC article.
Oh, so you heard it on the TV?
No, I read it online, but I don't know if that's the same thing.
You read it online. There's a huge difference between reading what people say and what the actual practicality is. Now, I guarantee you that there's absolutely no engineer anywhere that's going to be accounting for curvature. That doesn't exist, especially when you're building over water, because every sane person in the world knows that standing bodies of water are level upon any given point.
I understand. So, obviously, I just do want to ask some questions on the flat Earth model, even though I am
I don't ascribe to a flat Earth model.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the full dimensions of the Earth are. I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. So you're just acting from the point where just what you can see and what you can prove. You're not trying to maybe theorize on what's possible.
No, well, we need the exploration to know the full dimensions. Without exploring the outer perimeters, how do we know what the full Earth is?
Okay, I understand that. But it would just be nice to know a bit more about what we live in, because I watched a lot of your videos, and you said that you do believe that possibly laterally there could be more life, etc., more lands. It's just a possibility. So that's a form of theory, and I feel like you subscribe to that. But I feel like that's okay. You know what I mean? I feel like it's good to think about.
My mind's open to any possibility, but you know,
even open to the globe Earth.
No, because the globe Earth is the globe Earth is based on vision. It's a navigation tool based on human vision. It's not a three-dimensional, tangible thing. Just because you've seen it in the TV, that's what's warping your perception.
I get you. I do feel like we do need to apply more critical thinking when we take stuff in. So I understand your point of that everyone's just taking stuff in, being taught from a young age, and they're not thinking beyond that. So I can understand that. That might be my bias coming into the conversation. That's right. So I do apologize for that.
That's
and
right.
I respect your opinion a lot. I understand where you're coming from.
Well, it's difficult because I'm always trying to reason with people to show and highlight where that they don't have any foundation for the reasoning processes that they're trying to assert to me, and that's pretty much what you've done. You're trying to reason with me from ignorance, and you're saying it. You're saying like you don't know. You go by consensus. So it's like it's difficult for me to reason with somebody like that because it's like you're giving over your responsibility to some external authority. So I've already addressed the external authority. So I've addressed that. So that's your representation. They represent you then. So I don't know what else you've got to offer me.
Good point. I do understand that. I really do understand that. I do respect that as well. So yeah, definitely.
But as a man, if you've got something demonstrable and practical to show me, then I'll accept it if you can demonstrate it to me.
I get you. I definitely get you. I definitely understand the movement more. I mean, I just wonder why no scientists could. But also, there's also this thing on YouTube, obviously. Maybe there's a bit of a bias
Hang on, get back a wee second. Define scientist.
Define scientist.
Define the word scientist.
I was going to move on to a different point. I didn't mean to bring up the scientist thing.
No, but you were saying it. You were going to say, I don't know why other scientists have no. There's millions of people who have stated that the Earth's not a globe. So what I'm asking you, in your mind, how do you identify a scientist? What's your definition?
Personal definition of scientist: someone who, I guess is going to be stupid, but someone who carries out experiments to prove, maybe based on, I don't know. There's normally a lot to do with experimentation to figure out the world we live around us, about the world we live around us, and the effects and stuff like that.
Well, there's a difference between experimentation and demonstration. So experimentation, you're trying to find the cause of a particular phenomena, right? Whereas demonstration, it's like I can demonstrate the interaction between two different substances to you. or I can demonstrate the behaviour of a particular substance to you. But when you say experimentation, you're trying to find the cause of the phenomena that you're observing. Right? So for me, scientist is defined as a human being exploring the objective reality they find themselves in. That's the definition of a scientist. But what I think you mean is a particular line of expertise. So like in mechanics, you know, you can pursue an avenue of expertise further into the complexities and the workings of a internal combustion engine. Right? Which is fine. You can be an expert in a particular line of work. But in general, we all have the ability to assess the objective reality that we move about in. Nobody has the upper hand over anybody in that regard. The bar that has to be there is demonstration. So if you assert something to me about my reality, I expect the demonstration. So when you say water behaves like this, and then you tell me I can't demonstrate it because I need to go to another reference frame, then you're talking pseudoscience. You're not talking about practicality, real world demonstrable fact. You're talking about a belief in your mind that's not real.
Okay, I understand that. Yeah, I definitely understand your point. And I feel like it's just that much harder for me to get onto Flat Earth. I don't know if there's maybe a bias, obviously, in media, etc., which, okay, I can understand. But every time I've heard the arguments for Flat Earth, then I find another video which debunks those said theories based on...
But that's your problem. That's your problem. What you're listening to is sophistry, language. Eradicate language from your mind. What you should be focused in on is where's the practical demonstration for the claims that are being made.
Okay.
And if you can't find that, then somebody's talking shit.
Okay, I understand. I definitely understand your point more. Definitely understand.
Because if you use language, you can debunk anybody's argumentation just using language. It depends on what your bias is. So you can hear something that fits your bias, and it's just language based, and then that's enough for you. But it's not enough for me. You can speak a different language to me. If you were another man speaking Swahili, right? I can bring water out to you as a demonstration and show you it and describe through gestures what I'm trying to show you. You will understand what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely understand. Right. You feel like there always needs to be a demonstration for things we claim to prove said things. Got you. And obviously you can't rely on pictures and testimony because that's not reliable.
No, because seeing something on your TV is no a demonstration of anything. Unless I can demonstrate it for myself.
True. That's true. I understand your point. I definitely respect your point as well.
And what they're showing you in regards to the globular earth contradicts what reality's showing me. So who do I believe, reality or the TV?
I get what you mean. I definitely get what you mean. That's why maybe in this conversation I have claimed to know things about science which I haven't known in full detail. But I do prefer to defer to the people who claim to know more. So maybe that's also an issue.
So that's what I'm saying. If I sum it up, that's you're willfully ignorant. I'm not being. You're stating it. You're quite happy to be willfully ignorant, which is fine. You can be willfully ignorant all you like, but you cannot then assert to know something as being a real world fact. You're never in a position for
that. Okay. Sure. So how do you think you can go about maybe getting in contact with scientists, or maybe more renowned scientists to try and explain your point more?
Well, again, what do you mean by scientist?
Maybe an
authority. You mean an authority figure?
An authority, yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're aware, but I continually go to the universities.
Okay.
Continually.
To speak to the students or to speak to
anybody? I've been trying to speak to lecturers. We've approached them. We've sent them letters. I go there in person, and they just run away.
Oh, I get it. And do you think there's obviously a media bias trying to make you guys look out like you're obviously the point that people try to say that you're scientifically illiterate, etc.
Yeah.
Try to take away from your argument.
But again, it's fallacious logic and fallacious reasoning. Just throwing labels at people is not addressing what they're actually talking about.
Yeah, and you think that's taken away obviously from your stance and trying to convert people or trying to...
Well, it's a sign of insecurity. It's propaganda, because if I don't need to throw accusations and names and ridicule people that believe in the globe. I don't need to ridicule you. I can make my points by practical reference using logic and reason and applying that. I don't have to enter into the grounds of propaganda in order to sway people to believe what I'm saying. But,
Yeah, that's true.
but the globular earth constantly partakes in ridicule, slander, propaganda, the whole sign of insecurity and manipulation.
I've seen it on both sides, but I understand. I definitely understand. And I definitely respect your opinion more. See, maybe it's something I do need to look into more. But yeah. It's interesting. I understand your point that I'm woefully ignorant, that I'm kind of appealing to authority instead of actually going out and proving it for myself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I am in university, it's a bit harder for me to care too much about the shape of the earth when I obviously have exams, etc. and something I'm studying for. And obviously, I do mechanical engineering at the moment, so maybe when I get further up, when I finish my degree, I can kind of look into it a bit more.
Well,
maybe.
Again, for me, it's hugely relevant because right now people are operating from bewilderment and confusion. People don't know where they are exactly. They don't know what this place is, how it came to be, the true history of it, their place within it. So if you do not know that knowledge, then what you're calling a life is delusional.
I get you. And I feel like I've heard in your videos, you've also said stuff like the reason why they might be claiming it's a globe is to try and make us think that we're kind of trapped. You know what I mean? We kind of don't have anywhere else to go. We're kind of spinning around in space, kind of like entrapped. So I kind of understand the basis or the motive why they might have said it. But at the same time, when I think of globe and when I think of the way they describe how big the universe is, how big everything outside Earth is, I don't feel trapped. You know what I mean?
But that's what I was talking about earlier. There could be a reason for that as well. But talking about the universe and these types of things, it's just a label. Oh, the universe, and they try and encompass like they know the full universe. It's total bullshit. Total bullshit.
I get you. If it's not practical, can't be demonstrated to you in front of you.
It's just a concept. People are looking up at the sky and interpreting what they see in the sky and making a model, an imaginative model using mathematics to try and come up with some certainty about their position within the bigger picture. And it's just bullshit.
I get you. And you'd liken it to religion in the sense that it's more of a belief than science.
It's because it's a worldview. It's trying to give an existential story to your existence. So it's religious because it's based purely on visible phenomena being interpreted to fit a particular bias model.
Got you. Okay, so obviously you don't believe in space travel, but do you think it is possible? Do you think we could ever develop the technology to go further out?
Utilising physics again, going back to real science, going back to real demonstration of physics. The claim is that the Earth is existing within a medium that's a vacuum.
Got you.
Okay, so no pressure.
Got you.
And we exist on Earth with air pressure. And these two environments are existing side by side without any solid separation between them.
Got you.
Now physics, when I take that claim and I go to physics shows me that that's an absurdity, a total and utter lie. Because opposing pressures cannot exist side by side without some sort of solid separation. So what they're telling you about space and space travel is purely fantasy.
Got you.
Physics will show you that if you actually apply yourself.
Got you. Yeah, I know. I do mechanical engineering. I've done experiments on pressure within pipes, etc., and water pressure, and I understand the idea of we living in a vacuum, etc. Obviously, they do try to say that it's a gradient. It definitely decreases as it goes further up, and we do lose atmosphere to the vacuum as a result of the gradient. But it's not the gradient in terms of it's a lot of air pressure down here, and it's just.
But do you understand the gradient? Do you understand what they're talking about when they talk about a gradient? It's a gradient of pressure.
Yeah, less and less pressure as you go up.
Pressure, no less and less stuff.
Less and less. Okay, pressure on the atmosphere, right?
Pressure that they're talking about. So it's like if I took a stack of bricks, okay, and you put a scale at the very bottom, you would get a reading of pressure. Okay. Now, if you take the scale and you put it under the very first brick, you're going to get a very small reading of pressure. Does that mean that there's no brick there?
No, it doesn't. No.
Right.
I get you. Yeah, I get you. It's just but I feel like I understand. I just feel like with me, even though this may be may still be a fallacy, I just feel like I just need a model I just need a working.
But
I'm getting a call. I don't think I'll be able to talk on the phone anymore.
models are pseudoscience. Models are no reality.
Mm.
The globular Earth model is a plastic toy. It's not
Okay.
a model. A model, when you say model to me, means a scaled representation of something that's true. So, can you scale model the globular Earth using the actual substances that make up reality?
No, I couldn't.
Right. So, if it was real, you could.
Oh,
If it was reality, you could.
I get what you mean. I guess it's more of a visual model. But I get what you mean.
It's a mathematical conceptual model that you're talking about.
Okay. But that doesn't discount the fact that maths is still needed in our society in a lot of factors.
Maths is a very useful tool when it has provable integers. So the mathematical formulas you're using must be ascribed to something solid, some tangible thing.
Mm.
That's the difference. But the mathematics that they utilise is no based in objective reality. It's based in conceptual reality.
I get you.
Cosmic mechanics and physics that don't exist here on Earth.
Got you. And you've tried to look into that to try and understand them more.
Was
To
that?
see that they're not. Have you tried to look into those conceptions to see how they relate it to our real world?
Aye, because that's the thing, that the concept of the globular Earth does not apply to the real world.
That's what you believe?
It's a fact. Where's the measurable curvature?
Oh, the 8-inch per mile squared thing.
Where is it?
I feel like you can't see it unless you're at a certain altitude, right? Is that not true? You need to be at a certain altitude to actually perceive the curvature.
Perceive the curvature, but you should be able to, just as I showed you here, if you and I are engineers and we have a distance between us, regardless if it's a mile, 2 miles, there's going to be a deviation. So that would be measurable.
Okay.
But it's no measurable because we're using Euclidean plane geometry because the Earth's level. So we utilise water level. So if we construct a bridge over water, we understand as engineers that we're dealing with a flat plane. So that we know when we've got elevation at this side, we know the elevation we have to have at this side in order to meet each other in the middle.
Mm-hmm. I get you.
So if the Earth was curved and we applied Euclidean plane principles, we would find a deviation when we came to meet each other because you would be going up to space and I would be going up to space and we would never meet until a way up here at an arbitrary point.
I get you. Have we ever had to? Have we ever had to construct something so far or so big that there would have to be account for curvature, which you said you haven't accounted for it?
Everywhere you build would have to account for curvature because on a sphere, the geometry of a sphere dictates that at any given starting point, there's a deviation in elevation away from you in every direction, 360 degrees.
Mm. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's true.
They build bridges with a slight lean angle on some of them to take the load.
Mm.
Because if you build them square like this, there's less of a load bear and they could pull in on each other. So you lean them back slightly to bear the load. Just like in tug of war, you would lean back so that you get more purchase. If you stand straight up, you can be knocked off balance easier.
That's true. That's true. That's really true. So, yeah. I get you. I get you. I really do get you. It's an interesting concept.
No, it's not a concept. It's a real world applicable fact. It's real world. The real world assumes Euclidean plane. That's what we apply in the real world. The only time we don't is when it comes to concepts like navigation using the celestial sphere, which is a concept based on human vision. Because anywhere you stand, it looks as if the sky's coming down in a curved motion and the floor's coming up to meet the sky. And it will always meet in the centre of the frame of your vision. So you're always standing inside your own oblate spheroid. Everywhere you move, you take your own oblate spheroid with you. You're not standing on the outside of a sphere. You're standing in the inside of your visual sphere.
I get you, because we can look everywhere in 360. I get you. So what's your answer to the idea that everyone always cites the ship going over the horizon? I know you obviously have an answer for that.
Well, because again, you understand if you're standing at the beach, okay, and you look straight out, so your head's perfectly levelled, okay, and you look straight out. See the floor beneath your feet? It's coming up into the centre of your field of view like this.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
Right? Do you think the Earth's actually doing that in front of you?
When I'm standing on it?
Yeah, do you think it's ramping up in front of you like this?
Oh no, and again, I'd obviously defer to scale.
No, listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. I'll show you.
It's like when I'm standing on a beach.
Right, so when you're standing on the beach,
okay, sure.
and you look at the horizon, so you're looking over the water, right?
Okay, sure.
The water, side on view, right? There's your eyes looking out, right? The floor does this, and the sky does this. You understand that? That's your straight out vision.
Okay, sure.
You understand?
Okay.
So the
sure.
floor physically is not ramping up like this. That's a property of your vision. Okay? Because your eyes are curved and you see in arcs, you see in angles. So the light, when you look so far out, the light is now at an angle which is so minute that you can't resolve it in the eye. So things start to obscure from the bottom. The further away it goes from you.
So it's parallax. Is it parallax?
No, that's no parallax, no.
There's no parallax. Okay. I thought parallax has been able to resolve small distances at distance.
No, parallax is like if you've got a tall tree behind a smaller tree and you go down, you can make the smaller tree appear to be higher than the taller tree.
Oh, okay. I get you.
That's an example of parallax.
Got you.
So the ship's going over the horizon is based in vision. So we have to understand the human eye and how the angles of light getting to the eye are working. Okay. Now you're right down close to the earth, so the light angle is more obscured than it is above you. If you elevate up, you're widening the angle that you can view it, so you can see further and further and further.
That's true. I get you. So let's say they adopt this method or the idea.
So just to show you, let me just finish, right? So you understand based on your vision, okay? As I say, there's your head, there's your eye, and you're looking out. You see the floor ramping up like this, okay? You accept that, you know that.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen some of your videos when you explain it to
So do you think then that the floor ramps up like this and then it goes like that and curves down like that?
No, I wouldn't be able to observe it anyway, but no.
Well, that's what would have to be going on. If you think you're watching a wee ship going over the curve, the floor's ramping up like this, and then the ship goes over a curve, so the Earth's like this and you're in a dimple.
Okay, so you're talking about from the way we perceive it in our eyes, right?
Yes.
But if we're looking at it going over water, I thought water's level, so we wouldn't perceive it that way.
No, because you asked me the question about the globular Earth and how it asserts that ships are going over the curve, right?
Got you.
So here's another point. If that was the case, right? So you think you're seeing a ship, you're standing here looking at a ship, right? And the ship's going over a curve, right? What you should then be able to do is have another observer who's an equidistant equilateral triangle from you and the ship, okay? So you would be here, looking at you and the ship. Now what you should be able to detect is curvature from left to right.
Got you.
But you don't. It's always a straight line.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean. So, okay. So you'd obviously think that the Earth is flat, like wide scale. Obviously it has deviations in elevation, etc., but flat, wide scale. Sure. Then there's obviously stuff we observe. We also have to explain stuff like the 9.81 meters per second drop to Earth, stuff like that. It's a bit hard to explain.
How objects fall.
Sorry.
The way in which objects fall.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to explain.
But
Without gravity.
it's got nothing. The way in which objects fall do not define the shape of the Earth.
Okay, sure,
They don't.
sure,
It's a separate discussion.
sure.
But again, we could have that discussion. But in the globular Earth, they're going to assert that gravity pulls objects towards it, right?
Okay,
But pull is not a physical mechanism of motion. Pull doesn't
Okay.
exist. It doesn't. Pull's not a thing.
okay,
Motion is only achieved by one surface or one piece of matter making an impression on another piece of matter and pressuring it to make it move. So how does gravity work then? Does gravity have invisible tentacles that it can attach onto stuff and wind it in?
I get what you mean. You're talking about what's the physical way it does it, like the manner.
What's the mechanism? Because
Sorry.
it doesn't fall in lines with the laws of motion. But the laws of motion dictate that you need one surface impressing on another surface.
True, that's true. I don't think anyone really claims to understand how it works. We can only just claim the effects, correct?
Well, this is the thing. They observe the phenomena, the effect of an object falling.
Excuse me.
Then they try and assert the mechanisms of that and place it upon a model, the spherical Earth model. So the globular Earth depends solely and heavily upon gravity,
True.
right? But it's nonsense.
I get you. But then at the same time, if I were to subscribe to the flat Earth model, well, I know you don't believe there's a model, but let's say I were to subscribe that there's a flat Earth, it'd be a bit hard for me to explain why stuff falls down, unless you could say the Earth or whatever the Earth is, if it's a flat plane, it's moving upwards or whatever. It'd be a bit hard for me.
But that makes more sense and falls in line with the laws of motion than spinning and going round the sun in 3 and 4 different directions and different speeds. That's total lunacy.
But the point is that if the flat disk Earth, if there was one, was this accelerating upwards, then the velocity would be at such a high level now that
Why?
it can be traveling at the speed of Earth.
Why do you think it would constantly have to keep accelerating?
Because the objects fall down at an accelerated rate.
But they're within the reference frame.
So again?
They're within the reference frame, though.
Okay, of the Earth.
Does an elevator have to keep accelerating in order for it to come into contact with your feet?
No, it doesn't.
Right.
No, it doesn't. Come in contact with our feet. So hold on. No. Okay, to move upwards, I get what you mean.
Well, if you take a thought experiment and you've got a void, a 3-dimensional void, okay, there's nothing in it, nothing, right? And you place an object in there. How does the object get direction and weight?
What? If we say one more time? So thought experiment. Say one more time.
If you're in a 3-dimensional void
Sure.
and you put an object in there,
Sure.
how does that object then, how do you give it direction and weight? What would you require in order to give it that?
Okay, you would require force.
Right. How would you bring that force in? What would the force be?
Motion, maybe.
Motion.
Yeah.
Something coming into contact with it.
Sure. Yeah.
So in that situation, if I had an object and then I brought in a moving object that was going at 9.8 metres per second, no squared, 9.8 metres per second, and it came in from this direction or any direction, and it then comes into contact and it keeps moving. It just keeps pressing against it continually at the same rate. So now this object has a downwards direction and it has weight because it now has something to resist it.
Got you. We just need that to be explained. That's just what I think. We just need more. I just feel like we just need more. I don't know. I wish there were more. I don't know. Maybe I don't know why I'm so stuck on the idea of the model, that the way it fits. So I'm not saying it has to be completely true. I'm just saying I subscribe to it because it fits all the phenomena we see. That's one of my main reasons. I just can't.
It doesn't fit the phenomena you're talking about, is that it's an interpretation of visible phenomena, but it doesn't fit the 3-dimensional physical phenomena in your everyday life. Nothing about the globular Earth fits any of this. Nothing.
I get you.
Anyway, We could go round and round in circles, mate.
That's true. That's really true. I mean,
Hi, can we talk to somebody else now, please?
Aye, batter in. You can join in and say whatever you want.
well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I understand
worries.
your point. I respect your point.
No worries.
Yeah. Have a nice night.
You too, bud.
No problem.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, hi. Welcome from China. It's almost 6 o'clock in the morning here, and I've been waiting to take my turn to speak. I'm not going to try and bust the flat Earth at all. I'm going to tell you my journey to get into the flat Earth.
Cool.
Right. I was a qualified building surveyor, and I never looked far enough. You didn't have to. It was just the land that you came across. And I came across the flat Earth about 4 years ago. And of course, I just said, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. But it kept me up sleepless nights. So I started looking at it. I did the old thing. I got a P1000, went out, looked, boats coming back. Yeah. It's, to me, it's an incredible revelation that everything in my atheistic life is utter bullshit. And we have to look. It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's utter bullshit.
Yeah.
It really. So I've had a few beers and stuff. As I say, it's late in the morning for me. But I've emailed you a few times and stuff, and you're not emailing me back. I know you're a busy person and stuff, but I just thought, no, get online and actually, I've got nobody to talk about. My wife just thinks I'm crazy. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, she thinks I'm absolutely crazy, but like you, I have no model. Why? Because I didn't build the fucking thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm glad you get that.
Yeah.
Oh, we've had 500 years of Copernicus and all that bullshit. Yeah, we don't get $53 million a day for you and I to go up there and say, this is what it is. Is there other lands? Is there this? Is there... I've got no model. And I hate it when people say, give me a model, explain why it is and how. I can't do that. But why? Okay, let me try and ground myself here. I'm glad you can hear me. I didn't think you could. I've been fucking around my headphones for ages. Why should we have a model when we're not allowed to go to Antarctica? We're not allowed to go this way. We're not allowed to go that way. How the fuck are we going to have a model?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like, why? Right. Look, I'm a red pill guy. I'm a bit of a MGTOW. I am married, but I'm a bit of a red pill. And you might not agree with all that shit. You might not agree with immigration and everything. I think I'm pretty based in what's going on in this fucking world at the moment. And I used to be, as a kid, obsessed with ghosts and stuff like that. And I know I'm just speaking right, I'm just flying it out there. But yeah, I spoke to a guy that's, he was on like Most Haunted and stuff about fucking demons. My whole world is blown. Now demons are on the fucking table. Do you know what I mean? It's like everything is now on the table. In China. I'm actually a teacher. I have these pictures with the Earth's core and all that, and I have to teach this shit. I have to teach this shit. Now I've got a young guy that he's a bit, like I was. And I sit down and say, look, just think, is the world this? Is the world that? Think for yourself. You've got this anarchistic view of life. Good, flow with it. How can I be a building surveyor, gone to university, got a degree, and did not know that the Earth is flat? Didn't even fucking think about it.
Certainly. If you don't put your attention to it, that's how easy it is to miss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, obviously, if you're into that kind of thing, you understand the geometry that's applied.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. When you do your little drawings and say about right angles, and it's going off into space, well, as we talk space, yeah, I can't how can I go from a person that has laughed and scoffed at this to like, I'm telling you, I used to be awake at night thinking, holy shit, is this true? Is this true? And I thought, no, satellites, no. And then you realise that all data communication is done by fucking submarine cables and fucking balloons. And you just go, yeah, that's it. It's all over. There's nothing left to cling to. There's nothing left to cling to. And the last guy that you were talking to, you know, he's desperate to cling to it. Why? A flat Earth is, to me, being an ex-atheist, I don't know what God is. I've got no answers. I've read the Quran and the Bible. I've done all that sort of kind of shit. I don't have an answer to it, but I find it breathtaking, don't you? Was there a point in your life when it finally stumbled upon you, this thought, this is far more magical than anything like atheism and we're monkeys spinning on. Sorry, talking too much. So I'll let you speak.
No, it does. It just clears the perceptions, you know, and you start to identify how, you know, you've been biased, following a particular narrative, and as you say, once you start to realise, you know, it brings back that wonder again. It brings back the intrigue to the magic that is this realm and how it functions, and you know where it came from. The possibilities, they're endless, you know. So for me, it's just keeping my mind open. You know, I can't throw anything out right now, as you say. You know, you're talking about demons, this, that, and the other. Well, you know, it's the same for me. You can't negate any possibility here because we just don't know the reality of the situation we're in. You know.
Yeah, the reason, as I say, I've always followed this. I've always been open-minded. I'd like to think I was open-minded, even as an atheist. And I always used to argue with people that, you know, if you're open to ghosts, then you've got to be open to, you know, sort of, oh, no, that sounds crap. I'm sorry. I think at the moment we're at the worst of times. We really are. We've got all this immigration, we've got all this Brexit shit, you know. And I'm outside this. I'm in China. I'm outside of this, but it still impacts me. I just think, oh God, was it? I thought I could live my life, get through, keep my head down, and be, you know, just get through it. And now I know I can't. And I can't keep my mouth shut, and I'm there the whole time writing scripts now to make YouTube videos. I've gone out, even with I've got a fractured foot, but I went up that hill, looked back to Guangzhou, 96 kilometers, and I can see the fucking Guangzhou Tower. I'm putting that video out soon.
Cool.
Are they going to tell me at night time? Is anybody going to tell me that's refraction?
Probably. Probably.
Come on. You know, and they will. Those debunkers will be on my channel. Diffraction, you know, sorry, refraction. It's just, oh yeah, everywhere we go on the planet, the sun is miraculous and it refracts. When we look further than we should do, it just refracts that back to us. It's what do they call it? A mirage. Yeah, the whole world's full of mirages.
That's it. So optical phenomena that are playing tricks on your eyes, but trust them because their eyes work better and they can tell you exactly what's going on.
Oh man. When I sit there and watch, you know, I've watched a lot of your videos and stuff and been silent about it, but yeah, I'm an expat, so I miss the old roll-ups. It always makes me jealous when you get a roll-up going.
Yeah.
Fire that up. Yeah. I you know, my wife's not interested. She's just, you know, we've got businesses and, you know, we do teaching, I breed dogs, and, you know, we do all the other stuff. So, you know, life's too busy to think about the shape of the earth, but it's really important.
Of course it is.
To have it is. It's the most, I can't explain this to anybody. I've got an optician that, you know, sort of very nice, devout Christian woman. She won't listen to Flat Earth. She won't even let me entertain it. I've got books on my bookshelf. You know, I've gone out there, I've bought the books, I've read the books. You know, if people say to me that I just fell into this, and you know, I'm a fucking no. I've been to university. I've got
Well, they can say that, they can say whatever they want, but as soon as it comes to a reasoned discussion, you know, ironing out the reasonings behind statements that are being made, it starts to become very apparent that, you know, the majority of people just have this belief without any solid reasoning, without any grounds for it, you know, other than...
yeah, but here's the thing, is with all this bastardry, you know, the trans people and putting kids on beta blockers, it's all, they need this shit. They need nothing. They need to believe we're spinning on a ball with fucking monkeys. No, I lost my religion with evolution years ago, and funny enough, the guy was who got me into that was what's his name? Pye.
Lloyd Pye.
Yes. Now I'm in touch with a guy that makes he's got a internet channel called Check All the Evidence, and I've begged him to look at this. You know, we had a long, you know, sort of conversation about evolution and stuff like that. He's got this thing about the Star Child skull, and you know, it's just like, you've got a site called Check the Evidence, and you just blow me out the water every time I gently try to nudge you in this direction. Yeah, I'm a guy at almost 6 o'clock in the morning, so fucking frustrated, and it's nice to talk to somebody that fucking understands what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's other people here as well. I don't know if they've got anything to add, say to this.
So you literally are teaching these kids at school about the globe, and you
no. I will go as far as say, you know, this is their theory. You know, I do inject a little bit of poison into it. I'm not completely, you know, I'll say that's what they believe. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. You want to keep your job.
No, we own the place. We're not employed. We actually own.
Wait, so you own the place, and you're? Are you trolling?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not trolling.
No,
I live in China. I'm on a VPN. I'm not trolling you at all. I'm not honestly. I'm not trolling.
It doesn't matter because listen. It doesn't matter if you're trolling because I'm off skiing in a minute anyway. So
yeah, wait it down. I'm off.
I'm tired.
Good to speak to you.
All right, subscribe to Venus 14. If this is Dell's last channel,
we'll see. We'll find out tomorrow. So
but yeah, they'll let you get to 100,000 before deleting your channel. But once you get 100k subs, I've never seen a trooper get more than 100k subs before getting deleted. But yeah, I don't see why you get deleted now.
Oh well, we'll see what happens.
Can I ask one thing before you go, guys? Why do you think I'm trolling you? Why?
Oh, no, well, I mean, you just said that you own a place where you're teaching about the globe and you're a flat earther.
But you're not listening to me. I live in China, you fucking moron. It's a fucking...
See you later, mate.
Joe, cheers, my man.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Good luck, mate. Take care.
Cheers, bud.
Yeah, go fuck yourselves, a lot of you. You think I'm fucking...
Just shut that, didn't you? So I can't bother listening to it. Yeah, I'm just starting to get tired. Tension starts to go. Well, cheers people for coming on. As always, as I say, who knows what's going to happen. I just thought I would come on and say hello, goodbye and all that stuff if it happens. So take care of yourselves, and I'm sure I'll see you at some point. You know, may appear somewhere else. I may know. Who knows? If the channel does go, you know, people can still email me if you want to get in contact or whatever. And the people that I've met in real life, obviously you can keep that connect up. But just in case, you know, as I say, everybody that's helped, everybody that's took part over the last few years, whatever, then it's appreciated, you know, regardless of what's went on. I wish everybody all the best. So anyway, we'll soon see. I highly doubt that it's going to go, but just to be cautious, you know. Take care of yourselves now. Bye bye.